Hey y'all, it's time for Talking Time with Caffeine. Short episode again because it's just two of us. So say hi,
Yeah.
Schnick.
Hello, eh? If MarioTube's watching this as he edits, he probably just turned off the stream.
Oh. You can hear Schnick, but you can't see him because... Why? Because OBS and Skype hate me for some fucking reason.
Yeah, and unfortunately I can't host today, so...
Your sister in town and FaceTiming?
No, but I'm processing your video, and that's eating up my computer stuff right now.
Okay. So you have a good reason then.
Yeah.
Getting my work done. So, I guess we'll get right into the main topic. I just got finished yesterday with Snick's RPG. It is done. It is in the bag.
Oh, bullshit.
Or bull Snick. But I took at least the majority of the bugs that were in the beta version, and I found them for Snick, and he made 8 versions for me to try.
Yeah.
So technically 9, if you count the 0 as the first one.
So I guess I could ask you what all your thoughts of the game are. So, obviously, the game is not meant to be grade A quality in terms of gameplay, but way you see it, how was the gameplay?
I liked the story. It had some funny dialogue in it.
I mean, you can discuss in detail if you want, but we're going to have to place a spoiler warning.
1 second. Chat. Alright, well. Alright, let's see. I'm going to talk about. What do you mean, discuss? Well, I guess. I'll start with the story, I guess. Well. Actually, first of all, let's start with you. Hey, Sparrow. Tell me the background of this story or RPG.
Oh, where do I even begin with that? So, the story for the game, it originated from a whole bunch of... So what happened was, back when I was middle school Schnick, my mom, well, at that point, my mom got me into the game show Survivor. And I was randomly browsing GameFAQs, and I went on their social message board, and for some odd reason, they had a social board dedicated to Survivor.
Alright.
So, I immediately went on there, and without even learning how actual games on the message board were played, I just started my own game claiming, oh, all you have to do is vote people out. Like, it was basically a popularity contest. And let's just say the story, I ended up making a story out of it, and let's just say the story was so ridiculous that all the people on the message board, they weren't even sure if I was being legit or if I was just trolling. Like, a lot of the content in this game, basically the first game was this random story based around Super Smash Brothers. Like, you had the entire cast of Smash Bros. Brawl as the contestants. And, yeah. let's just say a lot of the stuff I put into that stupid game, quote unquote, because it wasn't even a game, it was just a contest pretty much. A lot of it is stuff that I am afraid to talk about. Like, it is so much worse than you can imagine. The stupidity of middle school schnick. And thank God that this topic is long gone. So I don't even remember a lot of what happened. I only remember some of the more infamous moments.
So it's like what, 10 years ago at this point?
Yeah. November will be 10 years since this happened.
Well, if you get this done by then, it'll be a 10th anniversary. Special. You release on the 10th anniversary. Oh, and Pokesaurus says, yay!
There's nothing yay about what middle school schnick did.
Okay. Before MarioTube played your RPG on RPG Maker version, you played another thing on another RPG Maker.
Well, that one was just... Well, that RPG has nothing to do with shitty RPG, the one that I just finished. Like, that one, I started creating it more or less because I saw a YouTube trailer for a fan-made YouTube trailer. And I wanted to make it a real game.
And you tried. That failed.
Yep. But the RPG Maker game you played, so the Smash Brothers Survivor game wasn't the only one. I made another one called Sony Survivor, which was literally just the cast of KH. So you can definitely, as you can tell, the freaking message board users were scratching their heads over that. But by that game, they finally tried to kick me out of there, and of course, me being ignorant middle school schnick didn't understand what was wrong. So, looking back, yeah, I most certainly understand why they thought I was a board troll. I mean, GameFAQs has lots of trolls on there, so I definitely understand. But, in fact, so basically the story of the RPG Maker game you played is a whole bunch of these Survivor game topics meshed together. Games 1 through 5 were on that stupid island. The 6th game was in the Castle Oblivion part. The 7th game was in the city, all the way leading up to the stupid nuke part. And then there was also plans. I did also start an 8th game, which would have continued the story afterward, and it's basically the moment with the stupid Shadow Zombie stuff.
So you basically...
But I never finished it.
So basically you took all those ideas for different games and put them all in this game?
Yeah, basically, that's like, I put them all together into that one game, and I think actual development on the RPG Maker game began around the time the stupid 8th topic was made. And truth is, back when I was originally making the game, it was originally meant to have a completely different, like, it was going to be played straight, and more or less, you know the scenario part, right?
I think so.
The part with the six scenarios, it was everything after that point was going to be completely different in the original version. But then that's the point where I ceased development. So when I hijacked the game today, I turned it into something else.
Alright, so, okay, what brought? I mean, before I said this, before Mario played this, then you played your version. What brought up this idea to play your old games again? Starting with your first RPG that you played on your channel.
What about the first RPG I played on my channel? Because you kind of cut out.
I said, what brought up the idea to play them again?
In all honesty, it's because the RPG I played on my channel, it was lost for a while. The thing is, this one you played in hard drive.
Yeah.
So I kind of just let it sit there. But then, I don't know, like, at one point I became curious to check out the RPG Maker 3 game again, but the thing is, my only backup of the save was on my PS3's hard drive. But when I changed out my PS3 hard drive to give it a bigger hard drive, I stubbornly forgot to transfer all the memory card saves.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. And for years, I was unable to play the game because it still sat on that hard drive, but I was afraid to put the hard drive back in because I was worried that if I did, the PS3 would require me to reformat the drive, which therefore would cause all the data to be gone for good. But then, randomly one day, without really knowing anything in particular, I think it may have had something to do with... I think that was just around the point I had... I think that was just around the point when I replaced my PS4's hard drive, or maybe... No. All I know is that randomly one day I looked it up and I found that, in fact, as long as your previous hard drive still has the PS3 firmware, you can reinsert it and the PS3...
Yeah, I didn't hear half of that. Stupid fucking computer.
Oh. Well, to make it short, basically, it kind of just happened. Like, randomly one day, I was browsing online, and... with my dad's help. And I found the save file still there, so I immediately copied it over not only to a memory card, but to a USB flash drive to have multiple backups. And I also took the chance to copy over a whole bunch of other saves that were considered lost for a while. And, yeah. Right then and there, as soon as it was copied, I recorded the first video, and I brought everybody on so they could take a look with me.
I remember that.
And Mario getting interested in playing the game you played, it more or less just stemmed from me making a passing mention of the game while playing the even worse game. And he's like, oh really? There's one I could play? Can I play it? And then he learned to deeply regret that decision.
Tis true. Tis very true. Alright, so then, then we go to then MarioTube played his version, which was unfinished.
Yeah, that was the unfinished middle school Schneck cut.
Where exactly did that game end?
It ended right when you got to the scenarios, because, simply put, middle school Schnick was too lazy to finish the scenarios. The only scenario that got finished as middle school Schnick was the Schnick scenario. And this is where freaking Cousin Vinny would say, "Oh, there's a fucking surprise." And only the Peach scenario, the Peach scenario was the only one that had some work done of it. More or less, the only work that was done of it was the brief scene where Jay rescues Peach. And legit, more or less the reason why I could not finish the game as middle school Schnick is because I did not know what to do once Peach got outside. It was more or less, oh, they escaped? Well, now what? That was it.
Alright. Then 10 years later, after Mario finished it, you started finishing it.
Yeah, like, I know that bits and pieces inside the Green Castle during the game's ending, some of that is actually some surviving work from the middle school Schnick version, like, namely the fight with the fake Schnick, even though the dialogue's heavily modified. Pretty much the only bit of middle school Schnick work that was left untouched was when you were walking through that hallway and you fight Zenmus and Saix together.
Yeah?
Yeah, that is the only thing that was... That's the only work middle school Schnick did that was left untouched. Everything else was either heavily modified or entirely brand new. So, do you have any other questions, comments, concerns?
No, I guess I'll talk my experience of it now, I guess.
Like, talk about all different aspects of how middle school Schnick fucked up a plot.
Alright, well, I guess, okay, as you said, when I first started the game, I think it was like control some of these stuff, but it was pretty much easy, because some of my arms had to be twisted around a bit. I randomly found the jump button to be W, just by random chance.
Oh.
But anyways, started off, we were playing a game of Survivor or Killer or Big Brother or something, I guess. And just like running around Mario, meeting the Pokemon characters, meeting the Zelda characters, where Zelda says that her game was stupid. Or Link said that, I'm not sure. Maybe Mario said that. This is Ocarina of Time is overrated.
Yeah, I think Mario said it. Because, you know, middle school Schnick.
And I only found that because you found it by accident, because Mario didn't find that little Easter egg.
Yeah, he didn't find it.
But which basically, which is how we started finding bugs in the game, because I went places you didn't expect anybody to go. I'm like, what's over here? What's over here? What's back here? And then the game crashed because both middle school Schnick and current Schnick didn't think about backtracking. And about
admittedly, I never thought that. Like, I never did backtracking. Mario seldom did backtracking.
So
I think only once did Mario do a form of backtracking that screwed him over.
Yeah, so at least twice, maybe 3 times, I re-triggered the first Bowser fight. First as Mario, then as Luigi, and then as Sora. So
I'm gonna get a drink quickly.
Alright. If Sparrow and Pokesaurus in chat, how did you enjoy the beta test of the RPG, if you're still in chat? I guess they're not here. Or they are, they're not talking.
Alright, I am back now. Oh, fuck.
I was hoping Sparrow and Booksaurus give some comments while you're gone, but I guess they're not here.
Okay. So, did you have any specific comments about the plot?
I'm getting there eventually.
Alright.
So, yeah. So then, I think then Mario meets Snick, or was he Snick this time, or was he already the fake Snick when you first meet him?
When you first meet him, like the very first time before the Bowser fight.
Yeah.
It's the real one.
Okay, so it's after that he gets replaced?
He doesn't get replaced until game number 5, where it's all of them on the island.
Okay.
Like, you know that cutscene where you see the fake Schnick talking to the guy off screen, then he goes to George, and then George is asking him about bringing the armies on the island? That's the first scene where it's the fake and not the real one.
Okay, so the first game is Mario and Luigi fighting Giga Bowser.
Yeah.
Alright. That's pretty much straightforward. I played that game. I think I accidentally beat that boss like 2 or 3 times because of the bug glitch. Like, what was the second game again? That Sora?
The second game again. The second game was Sora and Riku.
Sora and Riku, and that's when we started going up. I think that's when we started going up. We started going up the waterfalls and stuff, collecting treasure chests.
Yeah, that's when you're going up. That's when you were going up the waterfall, like walking along the river, and then you're going to find Cloud, and then you fight the organization members.
I think the second or third glitch happened then.
Yeah, I think there were some glitches that happened then.
Like with the Syx fight and with walking music and walking. Says, yeah. Alright, then I think was the third game Sonic, or is he there yet?
No, the third game you were just playing as the real Schnick and George in the stupid HQ.
Oh yeah, you were killing the mushrooms with the overpowered spark.
Yeah.
I just spammed spark and everything died.
Everyone died. The end.
So, yeah. Alright. Then the fourth game. The
fourth game is when that other guy came in. You were teaming up with Mario, obviously.
Other guy. I forget. I blocked it from my memory.
Wah, wah.
Tails? Sonic?
Well, yeah, both of them.
Oh. Yeah, and I play a little differently because, I guess, spoiler alert, since I was kind of, and this decision came back to bite me in the ass later on, because since I knew which the characters were going to be the final characters, you play as, I mostly saved all of the treasures for the 3 characters. Spoiler alert, Sora, Mario, and Tails. They're the final 3, besides Snick, of course. So, I'm like in KH1, KH2 style, I gave any of the power-ups, mind-ups, or anything else to Donald and Goofy. I gave them all to the main character. So I figured giving to other people would be a waste of resources. But then when I had to play as Luigi, level 27, battling this one guy who one-shotted me with his magnum shot, I cannot get past that part. I'm like, okay. I'm like, Snick, I need help.
Yeah, and I just simply had to make it where you're given Luigi's Super Fireball skill, because that's like one of the last times you play as him anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that magnum shot was like, I kept thinking, okay, I get down, all of a sudden, I healed, I kept trying, I healed, whatever, guarded, but as soon as he got that magnum shot, it was game over.
Game over, man. Game over. So,
and then I actually found some other bugs when I was playing as Sonic, and running across the river. Since I talked to that one guy from the side, it getting glitched there too. And you had to put rocks in the way. It's like,
yeah, I did.
So that couldn't happen. So did you have to? Who made you change more things? Was it me or was it Mario? Because Mario had a few presses too.
I mean, I think well, obviously the bulk of the work was done in response to Mario. Like, I didn't really have to change all that much. Like, a lot of the stuff I had to change was simple with you, but with Mario, I frequently had to reshape entire maps, redo a lot of the stuff so it wasn't as stupid to go through.
Then we got to the main part of the game where it turned out the Snick had been replaced by a fake Snick, and he wanted to kill everybody. But the reason why we didn't know at that time. We just thought he was an asshole.
I mean, he is an asshole, but you'll find out why he's an asshole.
But then, okay, then the characters started teaming up, and they went through Castle Oblivion. This was another maze, I think.
Well, you don't find out that the Schnick is an imposter until, like, much later after Castle Oblivion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we go through there, and then we have to go through different memory worlds, like the island, Toad Town, and other things.
Yeah, most of them aren't even their memories. Honestly, that might be a dialogue modification I could have Mr. Crazy Man say. When you were going through Castle Oblivion, none of those were your fucking memories!
I was sad that Nami didn't make an appearance in Castle Oblivion.
Yeah, she's nowhere in the game.
I think she should be in the next game. I'm just thinking that.
I mean, I'm not, because given that these games' events are canon with the Schnick universe, and all these games take place after Cage 3, I guess until I know what Namine's final fate's supposed to be, I don't know if that can happen. But then again, it is middle school Schnick. He can resurrect characters as he pleases.
This is true. You also mentioned something about cyberbullies, which was fake. You said you thought it was real.
Well, it was basically a 1-minute scene that middle school Schnick basically put in to reference all the users on GameFAQs that were quote-unquote bullying him, when in fact he was getting, well, everything he deserved.
Alright. Okay, then this then this guy named James became Darkness and started killing everybody to quote set them free from their prison.
Okay.
I think that was next. Did that happen? Did that happen after you started editing it today, or what?
Well, no, the stuff with the the monster with the stupid name was in the original version, but he had an entirely different origin in the middle school Schnick version.
What was that origin then?
Basically the origin was that he was a man voluntarily experimented on, and it's basically ripping off Resident Evil.
And how's that different from the current version?
The current version was that he was a witness in middle school Schnick's world alongside the fake Schnick and the other guy that comes in. And they were promptly trapped in middle school Schnick's world when they tried to basically tell him to cut it out with his ego and whatnot. And essentially, he just happened to be, I think, in middle school Schnick's mind, that's still his origin, but no, which is why he's the stupid monster in game. That's the original origin is in middle school Schnick's mind, but the origin that's given to the player in the revised edition is more or less middle school Schnick did it to be a dick. And ruin the lives of 3 innocent men.
Alright. So, what was the plot of? Was it like was they thinking it was like a mercy killings? Maximilian, Jonathan, and them were like doing mercy killings.
Essentially, they were doing mercy killings because, as stated in his monologue, they figured if everyone died in the story, then middle school Schnick couldn't use them further in the story. So from there, he'd have no choice but to set them free back to their actual home worlds. Though, another thing that has the main characters doubting his claim is that he even makes a claim saying, hell, even if it didn't work, I'd say death was preferable to eternal enslavement.
Would that have worked, or would middle school Schnick have just
kept them in limbo forever? Or I don't know, because one thing I do remember about the original shitty RPG series was that characters would have died numerous times, but then I kept thinking of convoluted ways to bring everyone back numerous times. Like, permanent death was not a common thing with the original plan that middle school Schnick had for this series. Because, yeah, the original story was meant to be a whole series.
Which it might be now that you're making sequels.
Except the frickin'... Of course I'm making sequels, but it's an entirely different story.
So darkness kills everyone except for I think that, yeah, I imagine everyone. So darkness kills everyone except for Snicks, Sora, Tails, and
well, no. In reality, the monster mostly just kills NPC characters. In reality, most of the other deaths of playable characters occur because of Johnny Boy and Maxi Boy.
Oh, so like Darkness just killed people like Tifa and Sid.
Yeah, pretty much.
I wish Jesse could be here since he's doing a lot of artwork for this thing.
What's Jesse saying?
Well, I said I wish Jesse was here since he did a lot of the new artwork for you.
Yeah, but he's not.
Game. Alright. So... yeah, I think... Final Middle School Snick, but I think Tifa, Zelda, and Princess Peach, and I think maybe Amy are the only girl characters in the game.
Well, that goes to show you another problem with Middle School Schnick. The SJWs could have a field day with him. Because the second game is a direct sequel to the first game, a lot of the playable characters from the first game return, but then in game number 3 and game number 4, the playable characters change significantly. In fact, at the moment, I would say game number 4 might have more women characters than male characters, only because, well, it's Darkside Phil, and Darkside Phil is the definition of a man who only sees women as objects, so it's only fitting that women take him down.
Yeah, true.
That's not to say the men aren't going to help, because Nero from Devil May Cry, Raiden from MGS, and the main character of Persona 5 are also on board.
So, what was the ending, for the ending, why do you decide to make homework the way to beat Middle Snick?
Because that was the only thing I could have thought. Because a conventional way of beating Middle School Schnick, well, it's impossible, because he's the god of the world, basically. So how can you... anything you can think of, he'll just say, oh, it doesn't work. Nothing.
Yeah, I remember halfway in the battle that my talents disappeared.
Oh, yeah, he takes away all your skills and whatnot, yeah. That's exactly the point. But, yeah. So I figured the one thing that can beat him is the one thing that got in the way of him playing his games, and that was his stubborn refusal to put as minimal effort into homework as possible.
And then the true gods of the world appeared. Middle School Snick's parents.
Yep.
A question. The Alex we killed in the game, that was your sister, right?
Yeah, you've called the organization Sebeca, but in reality, I think the real pronunciation is Sebeck. It's more or less, that name originates from the first Persona. It's the company owned by the game's villain, Condori. And it was the only evil organization name I could think of to put... like, that's more or less an invention... I think that's more or less an invention of... I don't know if I put it in as Middle School Schnick or if I put it in today, but yeah, I didn't like how Peach's group was only referred to as the Rebels, and how friggin' the organization was just...
Sorry, apparently chat... chat disappeared. Now, there it is now. Okay, I kept up the chat now. Let's read the chat. Sparrow says, "Speaking of Snick, I just noticed there's an extra 9 in his name. There is an extra 9 in his name. Whoopsie. So we have elementary school Snick, middle school Snick, modern Snick, and possibly a future Snick in the year 1999. I am here buffering issues.
Oh.
I didn't put my last comment up. I said from what I've seen, the game is very creative and interesting concept. Also, the chat's not showing up on screen except as a blank gray box. Can you see the chat or does it zonk out? They're not talking much. Alright. There you go. It's working now. Sorry. Ugh. I have issues with OBS, so sorry about that. Chat's appearing now. Don't know why it was showing up before. Because OBS sucks sometimes, I guess. Alright, so...
Especially when it's in the mood for Ooh, Emperor's New Groove.
Alright. So, tell me about the 3 endings.
Yeah, I put in the multiple endings only to show... mostly to show how dire the situation is. Like, so actually put in an ending where all the characters just let themselves die and have all the dirty memories of middle school Schnick get erased. And because of how dire the fight against him was, like, there's supposed to be no way to beat him. I, of course, had to put in an ending where you lose.
So the one ending that there was... So is it? Which ending is which? There's the bad, worst, and terrible ending, or good, bad.
No, worst ending is where you lose to middle school Schnick. Bad ending is if you let yourselves die, and then the good ending is when you beat middle school Schnick.
Where you make yourself die. That's when before you go in the portal, you talk to Maximilian, and he says, "I can kill you, or you can go on."
No, basically. He wants to execute everyone because he knows that them wanting to beat middle school Schnick is basically a lost cause because in his eyes he can't be beaten. So it's either die and go home or go in to in vain keep your memories of the world even though he sees no reason why they would want to. And then, when you go through the portal, he kind of just lets you go bitterly. But then, his dialogue suggests that middle school Schnick has constantly been grasping at his mind and occasionally manipulating him without him really knowing it.
So, what happens in the worst ending?
In the worst ending... essentially, all your characters get thrown back in, and so Schnick himself knows what's going on, and he's like, "Yeah, we're thrown back in." The other 3 characters just start panicking, like, what are they gonna do to get back out to fight middle school Schnick again? Or better yet, they're even saying, "Oh, why don't we go find good old Maxie Boy again? Maybe he can." You know what? I really don't want to, but maybe he should. And then all of a sudden, you know that scene in Chains where Riku gets the spark in his head?
Oh, yeah. Oh, did you see what Sparrow wrote?
No.
Check the YouTube chat.
Alright. So more or less, they get a little spark in their heads, kind of. And all of a sudden, their memory, their knowledge of the world being fake is wiped. And they see the city is still on fire, and they go to help clean up as Schnick just kind of looks on. And I don't know if I want to say if Schnick knows their final fate, but is just being complicit, or if Schnick is subtly possessed by middle school Schnick's mind. And then Sparrow, of course, says the worst possible ending is middle school Schnick turning the heroes over to Shrek number 2. Except Shrek number 2, his universe 2, is not until game number 3.
Ooh. So let's describe the bad thing where you let Jonathan and Maximilian kill you.
Essentially, it's the same as the good ending, only Mario and Luigi just walk with Peach and Toadsworth to the castle as if nothing ever happened.
And the good ending?
Well, the good ending, it's modified to where Sora shows up again and asks if he can borrow Mario and Luigi because they're going back into middle school, the land of middle school Schnick, to save everybody else middle school Schnick trapped.
Which reminds me, when they're running down there, I only saw Mario run down. I didn't see Luigi run down.
Well, Luigi's scratching his head all confused.
Because only the three of them remember what happened.
Yeah, well, Peach doesn't know what happened. Luigi doesn't know what happened. Nobody does.
Only
except
the survivors.
Yeah.
And I saw you copied a lot of dialogue from the KH games.
Well,
like when Sonic was leaving the thing and Snick was talking to him, that was like the Axel Roxas scene.
What's funny is that in the original version, it just directly ripped off the Axel and Roxas scene. Whereas in this version, I changed the dialogue to make the fake Schnick look more like an asshole. Then again, the whole point of the scene is... But though the whole point of the scene was to show the fake Schnick kind of warming up to the characters, and it's more or less meant to show... Well, obviously the fake Schnick is good old Johnny Boy. And more or less the point is that he is slowly losing grasp over his mission. Like, he knows what his mission is, but he doesn't know he's in a fake world. He's entirely convinced that everything is real, and that's just his only purpose.
Oh, Sparrow says something else. Sparrow says something else now.
So he locks them up with DSP or Shrek for eternity. I mean, DSP is game number 4.
So, alright. Talk about my RPG now, I guess, if we ever started. Well, Snick doing his RPG made me want to do my own RPG. And, well, me stupidly decided, I thought, hey, since MV's a newer version, I'll get that version. But unfortunately, that meant there were less things to use it for. There's not very many MV packages I could use. Anyways, I want to do something. I wanted to combine two, like Snick did. I like crossovers, so I'm combining a few things together in my game too. Like going different worlds, like KH style and stuff. And I wanted to throw in like the new 7 princesses of the what I think are awesome girls and stuff. But like I said, I can't find any sprites that well. So. And I guess I could see I can buy the Ace version, but I need money to do that, and so I gotta wait till I have money to buy the Ace version unless it goes on sale.
Yeah, when it goes on sale, it gets pretty cheap, so it's best to wait for a sale.
Yeah, I just wish there was more MV sprites out there.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you can reuse VX sprites, though they wouldn't fit with the art style. Like, I know that when I originally made freaking back when I was developing the game as middle school Schnick, I used a lot of freaking sprites that were meant for RPG Maker 2003. As opposed to...
VX?
VX, yeah.
Did you replace them?
Yeah, obviously in the revision, I replaced pretty much all the 2003 sprites. I think the one for Richter Belmont is one of the only 2003 sprites that stayed. Oh, also, no, never mind. A lot of the Mario and Sonic sprites were from 2003, but they were repurposed.
Yeah.
Like, I reformatted them so that they looked better.
Yeah, I originally thought maybe I could use your sprites for MV Maker, but then they're different sizes and stuff, so it probably wouldn't work. No, who knows, it might work. But anyways, I was thinking of my original idea came from a storyline that you kind of dropped in your games for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I know that. I mean, I can briefly describe what the other game, because I have 3 sequels planned, which might take an eon to come out if they ever do.
Before you do that, I'm gonna go back in time a little bit before you do that. Okay, back for a long time, you were in your old games. You were saying that Susie and Arthur were out to get you and stuff in games.
Yeah, I did.
But then at the time you played the Dora game. And you're like, you know what? I redeem you, Arthur. And then you had Arthur. What's that game? Arthur joins you, and then you have Bob the Builder join you, and then you have like Ron, Harry and Hermione join you in the Harry Potter as you're doing as you're forming your own Snick army.
Yeah.
So my idea originally was to expand on that universe and get ready for the war between Earth Shrek 2 and Dora.
Is that all?
Well, that was the original idea, but then I expanded it more. I was going to add me, you, Snick, and the PR Snick, me, you, Brandon, and Mario in this as playable characters, as we meet together and team up to fight the bad guys.
Okay.
But then I got more ideas from new games I've been seeing, so now their stories just expanding in my head. So gotta find sprites for them. All right, go on. What's your future stories ideas?
I mean, well, only game number 2 is going to be a direct sequel to game number 1. Essentially, game number 2, so everyone goes back into middle school Schnickland to put an end to his creative storytelling. They end up in the world of the PS2 RPG Maker game.
The one you played on your channel.
Yeah. So essentially they go through that, and so you remember the evil camp, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, the story is a bit modified to where the evil camp, you have Crazy Lady who can change to a dragon, but then, and you also have the Snotty Boy and the Snotty Girl, but then you also have their trusted lieutenants, whose names are Lamont, Adam, Brandon, Jesse, Tobin, Andrew, Jacob, and who is the last one? I think there was one more. Oh, and Corey.
So we're lieutenants.
All of them being named after people I've collaborated with directly on YouTube.
So we're like bad guys?
Yeah, all of you are villains, just like how all the people I knew in real life are villains in the freaking first game.
So are we villains by choice or by middle school Schnicks?
Middle school Schnick.
I
think, the only thing I know is that you are the only one that doesn't have a boss fight. You don't get fought.
Okay.
Because, a little bit of spoilers here, do you mind?
No, I don't mind spoilers.
So, essentially, you're revealed to be self-aware. Like, you know all the bullshit that's going down. But you just go with it so that middle school Schnick doesn't erase you from existence.
Am I trying to help you or something?
Yeah, like, towards the end, you do start to help, but let's just say middle school Schnick goes crazy at the end of the game, and more or less, he turns the entire population of the world against the main characters.
For revenge? For revenge for defeating him the first game?
Well, it's like, I'd have to describe the entire plot to describe what leads up to that. Like, it's towards the end of the game. All that happens is that crazy dragon lady she's revealed to be an ally too. Like, basically the entire evil camp, they're not actually bad guys. They're actually good, and they're trying to help everyone escape from Middle School Schnick's clutches, but Middle School Schnick conditions the rest of the population to think the evil camp is evil. But then, towards the end of the game, the evil camp is mostly destroyed, and it's basically down to you, Crazy Lady, and the snotty kids. Crazy Lady and Snotty Girl end up burning, going to dragon form, and they burn Snotty Boy alive, and they also burn you alive, and you die from 3rd-degree burns.
Ew.
And freaking, at that point, Middle School Schnick just turns the whole population against the main characters because they started supporting Evil Camp.
And what's the 3rd game about?
Well, real fast, just so that you don't feel alone, obviously the other 7 people, Adam, Brandon, everybody, they also die in boss fights too. So, but then again, that just shows you how despicable Middle School Schnick is in this game, right?
Yeah.
So, let's see.
The 4th game is where DBSP comes in, right?
Yeah, game number 3 is Shrek.
Ah.
Essentially, in the good ending of the 2nd game, Middle School Schnick more or less completely loses access to RPG Maker. Like, he's more or less banned from using a computer at home. And yeah, so essentially, in the good ending as well, you actually, because the reason why they go in is because good old Maxie Boy, the heroes are trying to free him. Well, in the good ending, you do manage to free him, and he's finally back in the real world. And the 2nd game ends with him reuniting with his fiancée. More or less, game number 3 opens with Middle School Schnick in therapy. And freaking Maximilian's fiancée, now his wife, is his therapist.
Alright.
The thing is, obviously, he doesn't really remember much about what happened with Middle School Schnick. I mean, he remembers what Middle School Schnick was doing with RPG Maker, so he knows why he's always ticked off, but he doesn't know he was actually trapped in there. But yeah, so essentially he checks in on her when she's having sessions with Middle School Schnick, because he's a complete social outcast due to his ego and whatnot. And it gets to the point where they start to think he's mentally unstable, because essentially he keeps saying that Shrek is coming, basically. And little do they know, Middle School Schnick has a bit of an ability to oversee what goes on in the other worlds. Like, the Mario world, the Final Fantasy world, and the likes.
So, question.
Yes?
So, was Schnick doing all this stuff in his RPG Maker in order to stop Shrek from coming?
No, not really.
Kind of like maybe he planned ahead, like Emperor Palpatine was playing ahead for his war, like.
No, not really. He wasn't really trying to stop it. Like, I guess you can say, remember when that stupid 2012 theory where everyone thought the world was going to end in 2012?
Yeah, the Mayan calendar thing.
Yeah, like, when I was in high school when the countdown to that came. I'll admit, when I first heard about that countdown, like, back in middle school, a part of me was a little bit concerned. But then that concern went away, like in a couple of, like when I got to high school, and then when 2012 came and went, like everyone was just laughing about it.
Same thing happened with Y2K in 2000.
Yeah, I think Y2K may have caused a bigger uproar. Probably helps that 2012 had a really shitty movie based on it, which helped people laugh even more.
So Shrek is coming.
So, more or less, you can say Middle School Schnick was just making RPGs because he wanted to have his fun with the characters, not really caring what Shrek did. So, essentially... So, Shrek number 2 manages to breach through universes, and he starts to overthrow and consume other worlds in Universe 1. The only world for certain I know he gets to is the world of Walking Dead.
Oh gosh, Shrek
where he causes the zombie apocalypse. With a nice, good old fart that causes the dead to rise.
Shrek zombies.
But Shrek number 2 is aware of the characters that can stop him. Or better yet, I'm not entirely certain why all the characters end up, because more or less, Middle School Schnick's Fantasyland is occupied by Shrek, and it's like a Castlevania-style castle, fortress. And I'm not exactly sure why most of the characters show up there.
Does Middle School Schnick have to ask them for help?
No, Middle School Schnick didn't really want to ask them for help on anything. Like, all I know is that characters like Mario, like the Mario and Sonic characters kind of just end up there. I'm not exactly sure why. I'd have to think of the reason. Though one character I know goes there voluntarily is Dante from Devil May Cry, because he notices the disturbance, and given that he's an investigator of like the supernatural, he immediately just flies out there and goes at it. So yeah, Dante's a new character in the third game. You also get Leon Kennedy from the Resident Evil games. I think Lightning from Final Fantasy 13 will also be in it. Then, let's see. So, essentially, most of the villains in the third game are demented versions of children's characters. Like, I might have Dora in there at one point. I Am Mean. Like, you know the character I Am Mean from all the YTPs we watched?
Gas So Deadly.
Yeah, exactly. He has it right. So, there's Dora, there's I Am Mean as the secondary villain. You also get a freaking demented version of Miss Spider, a demented version of... who else? Maybe the Teletubbies.
The tree-humping Teletubbies.
Or I'm not entirely sure. Maybe the Teletubbies were left undisturbed, but...
Well, they were disturbed to begin with. They were already disturbed.
So, basically, at the game's ending, Middle School Shrek, more or less, starts to get close to the world of Middle School Schnick. And Middle School Schnick decide, like, more or less, depending on how the therapy sessions go, because you cut to Middle School Schnick's therapy sessions,
so
he will finally have enough through two ways. Either one, he'll be pissed off at Mario and friends for ruining his life, or he'll be pissed off because he doesn't understand what he did wrong.
Those are two different endings?
Yeah, those are the setups for two different endings. So he will teleport to his fantasy land, and he will confront the main characters in person. Like, Well, another thing I forgot to mention is that other characters you run into are doppelgangers of characters of the main characters, more or less, like from the Universe 2.
Survivors,
like, more or less survivors. They're survivors of a resistance fighting Shrek.
Mr. Dom's crack at the on Shrek 2.
No, Mount Doom's crack has nothing on Shrek number 2. The One Ring would destroy itself if anyone tried to send it to the Valley of the Shadow of Shrek. So, more or less, Middle School Schnick ends up mortally wounding one of the doppelgangers, so I think the doppelganger survives. And he gets held down by Leon, and right there, some of the characters debate just executing him. If you actually execute Middle School Schnick, the game just ends.
That's the bad ending, or the worst ending?
It's probably the worst ending, because the fantasy world ceases to exist, and the Shrek number 2 is defeated, but the doppelgangers are left stranded in Universe 1.
And what's the middle ending?
The middle ending, well, both the bad ending and the good ending, you have to let Middle School Schnick live. But then the difference is Middle School Schnick's mood. So, Saint Germain, one of the time travelers from Castlevania, regularly interacts with the main characters. He actually shows up to Middle School Schnick, and he's aware of his power to constantly view other worlds and witness their events. Essentially, he offers Middle School Schnick a position with his time-traveling organization, thinking that he can use his power to help keep balance. If Middle School Schnick is still a narcissist where he just blames all the main characters for his problems, he'll flat out refuse the offer, and I would say Middle School Schnick has a pretty dark ending there.
But if
he's questioning why everyone hates him, then he actually will go with Saint Germain to figure out exactly why does everyone hate him.
It reminds me of, I guess, is that like Time Crisis, where you're like meeting yourself in the past or the future?
No, you're talking Time Splitters. Oh. I mean, it's kind of like that, but not really.
And does that lead to RPG Maker 4? Shitty RPG 4?
Well, the good ending, yeah, that's canon with Shitty RPG 4. But then, right after, regardless of whether you get the good ending or the bad ending, you go on to fight Shrek a la Dracula from Castlevania. And you win.
Title set, movie Shrek number 2, and it shrinks and the heroes hates them, and they have to fight their way out of the most ever digestive track.
I don't know, maybe.
Alright, so how does DSP come in the next game?
So, in Shitty RPG 4, Middle School Schnick is working for the time-traveling organization from Castlevania. He spends several years until he's around my age, more specifically, he's 19 by the events of the 4th game.
So has Middle School Schnick met the real me and Mario at this point?
I mean, you could say the Middle School Schnick in this universe already knew the real people, and that's why you were trapped in the game.
Ah.
So Middle School Schnick ends up spending several years just looking through his past and looking through the events of the previous games, and slowly he begins to realize all of the bad things he did. And he's just really upset about it. And he doesn't know how he can make up for all the things he did. So he starts exploring other worlds again. This is right after the Infinity War story. So he's more or less just looking through other worlds, seeing how they're recovering from Thanos and all that.
Alright.
And then he comes across a world called the Kingdom of Hate, which is ruled by the self-appointed King of Hate.
DSP.
He finds that the king has very similar powers to him, where he can just freely view into other worlds and experience all their stories. A la he's just playing games. And he finds that the king, anytime he looks into a world, he ends up bringing huge amounts of toxicity and blemish into the stories. Like, ruining all the good things that happened. That is until he finally lets the story go and lets a particular story go, and he moves on to the next.
Oh, I like this. It says, he says, Fanatic School Bus.
Oh, God. Then again, so essentially, Middle School Schnick thinks a way he can redeem himself is by taking out the king. Around this point, Persona 5 is taking place, and he looks to the Persona 5 world, and he's like, oh wow, the Thamthes can change people's hearts and make them better people, or confess to their crimes. So he abruptly pulls the main character of Persona 5 from his world alongside several other characters, and more or less, and the thing is, he's not allowed to, but he does it anyway. And he's like, listen, I need you to do this job for me. I need you to change the heart of this guy here. And he's like, just do this quickly and I'll have you back before anyone knew you were gone. Alright, now I have to go to the bathroom again and I'll continue.
Alright. So Sparrow, do you want, since now that I've gone through the beta testing, do you want to be the next beta tester for Schnick's version of the game? Since I got the majority of the bugs out, maybe you can go through it and find your own bugs in it. Maybe Schnick can send you a OneDrive version of the game. If you want to check it out. You can tell him about the bugs you found while you're playing the one. I think it would be the 1.9. I think it would be 1.9 at this point, or maybe 2.0 beta. Who knows? Maybe you can find bugs that I didn't find, or maybe you'll have just a straight out no problem gameplay experience. If that's the case, then it might be ready for other people to try it out. So you say you want to do some beta testing? Or Pokesaurus if he's in chat?
Okay, I'm back.
I was asking Sparrow if he wanted to do some beta. If you want, since I get once the bugs out, if you want to try to find some bugs or not. But he hasn't responded.
You mean, do they want to play the current version of the game?
See if they can find bugs that I didn't find.
I mean, I guess if they want.
So go on.
Yeah. So essentially. So, he asks the main character of Persona 5, alongside a couple of other so-called recruits, to go and change the heart of the king. Who's DSP? Like in-game, he's only going to be referred to as the king. Maybe. So, the first half of the game is you more or less trying to go into his palace. which is a representation of his mind, and you find out all the bad things his mind thinks about, like akin to what Persona 5 does. And you defeat his shadow, and you actually make him have a change of heart, and he goes out to his loyal subjects, aka his fans, and he confesses all of his crimes. Except they immediately chant forgiveness towards him, saying he did nothing wrong. Why is he saying he did something wrong? We love you, we love you, we love you. And then DSP immediately snaps out of his trance of wanting to confess to his crimes. He's like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm the king, I'm the king. And then, like, of course, like, the main characters are shocked by this. And they're like, how, like, well, what do we do now? And immediately the characters are thrown into the king's dungeon. And, like, then you're trying to escape. Especially since I think I might actually have some actual YouTube celebrities there, and you get double-crossed by a couple of them. And it all leads up to one of the characters being presumed dead after they cause a whole facility housing the king's archives to explode. More or less, it's meant to represent DSP's channel getting destroyed. And you kind of have, like, all I know is that the area leading up to the final battle with DSP has a triumphant sounding song from Resident Evil Code Veronica playing, because more or less, this whole gang setup got a character killed. Like, one of the playable characters. And then you get to the battle with DSP, and the battle with him is, like, first you fight him in his human form, but then he goes into, like, and then the last form of him is what I'll call, the true final battle is what I'll call the Great Pig Roach. More or less, he's the Ocarina of Time version of Ganon, except he has cockroach antenna.
Yeah. He'll pass.
Okay, I don't blame him.
Hey, Mario's in chat.
DSP is Bowser.
Yeah, all of you are in the. By the way, all of you are in the credit or this next good ending credits.
I think Mario and chat knew that.
Ah. So is there different endings for RPG Maker 4? Or RPG
Actually, at the moment, I've only thought of one ending.
Good or bad?
Obviously good. DSP is defeated.
Ah. Alright. So as we end this, are there any onions about RPGs that you played in the past, like any RPGs you played in your childhood or middle school snick?
I mean, I can tell you this much: when I played the Final Fantasy games as a kid, and generally any RPGs, I always rushed through them because I wanted to see the story.
What kind of like what MarioTube did on your thing?
For a shitty RPG, yeah, exactly.
So you have any stories about that?
Not really, because I'd be restating the obvious every time. I mean, the first time I kind of did that was with Final Fantasy VII. Like, I got all the way up to the last dungeon. Like, I got right to the doorstep of the final battle with Sephiroth, but I was, like, a bit underleveled, and I didn't know how to deal with them. Then the exact same thing happened with Final Fantasy VIII, and to this day, I still have not beaten Final Fantasy VIII. 9, I got to the 4th disc, but then I was too underleveled. Still haven't beaten 9 to this day. 10, that happened with the lead up to the battle with Sin. 12, with 12, the exact same thing happened very early on. And I ended up using a Game Shark to get Vaughn to level 99, but I didn't bother doing anything for the rest of the characters.
So you're not a grinder.
Not back then.
Yeah, I mean, I think I might have overgrinded your game because I pretty much beat your battle tank. I think that the battle tank was an optional fight, wasn't it?
The battle tank in what? The gauntlet fight?
Not the gauntlet fight. It's where it's somewhere near the beginning of the game or the middle of the game.
Could TSP's defeat be what Shrek number 2 is set loose? No, it's not. Because game number 4 takes place after game number 3. Shrek number 2 dies in game number 3, and then game number 4 happens like 4 years later.
Mario say thank you.
I thank Schnick for putting me in the credits.
No, I forget where it's at. We were escaping a building, and they're like, "Let's go defeat Schnick's battle tank."
Oh, that thing, yeah.
I went and defeated it before I escaped.
Okay.
So I killed an optional boss apparently. Never did kill that one optional boss that made Mario crash the game.
You never killed it?
No, I wanted to, but then the backtracking bug happened, so I never. I was like, I'll go back and kill him, but nope, I couldn't because of the backtracking thing. So when I went back, that's it triggered. Because when I went back, then it triggered the. That's when it triggered the explosion of the explosion.
Mario in chat says he had to spend several hours grinding to beat Parasite Eve. If you don't know what Parasite Eve is, basically it's an RPG version of Resident Evil, more or less. Like, it might have more to do with Silent Hill. Then again, not really, because it's all about biology in Parasite Eve. So yeah, maybe it does have more to do with Resident Evil than it does Silent Hill.
One more time.
And he says it's nice that he can listen to the podcast while doing a grinding session.
Nice.
Or a podcast, and I guess we're one of them.
Yay! We're in a category.
Huh.
Alright.
You know what? If my compression of your video finishes, and then I have to see. If your compression of the video finishes, I might have to see if anyone's in the chat's willing to stick around. I'd have to see if I could try finishing Resident Evil 0 today.
So, as we end this, what things did you put in? You put anything? What did you put in the video in episode 14 or episode 15?
What did I put in episode 14?
Or 15? The one you're doing right now.
What am I gonna change for it?
Did you put it? Have you edited it yet or not? Yeah.
Well, no, I'm compressing it right now, and then the edits are gonna come.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still say you should edit it on your stream. You can try to edit on stream.
Oh, okay.
Do that, and then people can see the magic behind. People can see the magic behind Snick. Like people saw the magic of you editing an RPG. Oh, Parasite Eve is turning 20 tomorrow.
Yeah, Parasite Eve and Spyro turn 20 tomorrow, huh? When did MGS1 turn 20?
So what did we I don't know, but what did we learn today? We learned that middle school Snake's imagination is a terrifying place.
Mm-hmm.
And even 10 years later, still came back to haunt him.
The game is more of a sci-fi body horror cinematic RPG. I mean, in ways, Resident Evil is science fiction body horror.
Well, join us Tuesday for more podcast fun, and I guess join over on Stick's channel eventually later today, maybe a little bit to see if he does anything.
Yeah, I'm playing the N64 version of RE2 right now.